monkey fucking claw off my trailer.
Hey guys, Ian from Eurogamer here, and I've just finished playing the first half of Capcom's upcoming Devil May Cry reboot, DmC Devil May Cry. Now, before I begin this preview, please keep in mind that I'm not big on Devil May Cry. I'm not a massive fan of the series, although I have played most of them at least a little bit, and I'm not a seasoned hack and slasher. Plus, I've not really been following the development of the game.
Missed.
I went in with an open mind, with no preconceptions based on the originals, and very few fighting skills to call on, so this preview really is from the viewpoint of a noob to the franchise. If you are a die-hard DmC player, hopefully this video will still give you a better insight on how the game plays, and the chance to see some brand new gameplay footage. Also, I apologise in advance for my totally awful fighting skills. Like I said before, noob. So Capcom have been doing this weird thing lately where they've taken all their best loved franchises, stripped away the crazy Japanese style gameplay quirks that their fanbase love, and Americanised them in what I guess is an attempt to reach a wider audience. Resi 6 lost the horror and went all action-packed cover-based shooter like a Gears of War game. Lost Planet 3 already looks like it's going down the Dead Space route of survival horror rather than concentrating on giant robot-based anime action, and now DmC Devil May Cry has gone all story-driven with an edgy rebooted makeover to the characters and a more cinematic approach to the proceedings.
Now this group has claimed responsibility for several serious attacks in recent weeks.
It's a completely new story, not related in any way to the original Devil May Cry games, and it's been developed by a completely different team, Ninja Theory, the guys behind 2010's Andy Serkis simulator, Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. The preview build I played featured the first 10 missions, the first half of the game basically, and it allowed me to experience new Dante's growth from lazy, boozy loner to a demon-hunting member of the Order, a group run by his brother Virgil who is intent on exposing demons to the world and reclaiming Limbo City from their clutches. New Dante is aided in his quest by a psychic white witch called Cat, who acts as Dante's guide and also a voice of reason against his antisocial, rebellious personality. He's as cocky and foul-mouthed as you would expect someone of his character and troubled upbringing to be, but strangely considering Alex Garland, writer of The Beach, is story consultant on the game, some of the dialogue is pretty terrible, and he walks a fine line between being likeable and irritating.
Just like your mother.
Poor mother. I don't know my mother, but if you're calling me a son of a bitch, you wouldn't be the first.
The movie-like style features heavily here, so heavily in fact that cutscenes frequently interrupt the action. It wasn't that much of a problem for me, but will this frustrate seasoned DmC players? I think it might. Small bouts of action in the very short levels constantly lead into a cutscene, so people clamouring after a prolonged battle, at least in the first half of the game anyway, may walk away disappointed.
Kill Lilith. Kill the child.
While the game is set in Limbo City, all the action takes place in a parallel universe called Limbo. It's a constantly morphing nightmare world which the demons inhabit, and it gives us loads of gorgeous, highly original locations to fight in. My favourite so far was during a boss fight set in a hellish version of a news show where every so often the action would cut to broadcast news camera or security cam footage while the demonic host spewed out a super far-right parody of Fox News opinion-based coverage.
He definitely had pedophile eyes.
My time in Limbo also provided me with the most frustrating elements of the gameplay, the forced platforming sections. Again serving as ways to bookend or set up fights, these set pieces, which see Dante traversing floating platforms using his Ophian whip to grapple bits of scenery, can get a little dull, and very annoying when you miss your landing thanks to the annoying camera, which is not only very good at hiding the holes in the ground, but also a lot of the time the enemies who are attacking you. It seems strange that for a game which is meant to be based on performing the biggest combos possible and fighting like a badass, that such a large portion of it would be assigned to simple, ill-fitting platforming, and it's something I think mega fans will find aggravating during their multiple playthroughs. I certainly did. So that brings me to the best part of DmC, the fighting. It's what the series is best known for, the smooth flow of combat, the chaining of moves together to pull off those triple S rated combos, and DmC doesn't fail to live up to those standards. There's a huge roster of demons to beat the hell out of, including some very memorable bosses, and with many different weapons and upgrades available, good players will be able to pull off huge, stunning combos, chaining them all together using your twin pistols, Ebony and Ivory, and the Ophion Whip, which can be used to close the distance on enemies in an instant. Transitioning between the many weapons is also really easy once your muscle memory is locked in, and as you don't acquire everything all at once, it gives new players like me enough time to learn each weapon's strong points and shortfalls before presenting you with a new one to play with. Overall, DmC Devil May Cry is looking to be a great intro into hack and slash games for people new to the genre, and is a very fun game behind the curious design choices. You can play it with absolutely no knowledge of the Devil May Cry world, and the many different difficulty levels will mean absolute noobs will be able to enjoy the story without getting bullied, while those after a real challenge can test their mettle against some real nightmare modes and post their scores on the game's online leaderboards. I'm sure there is a lot here for the die-hard Devil May Cry fans to appreciate, but I can't help thinking that Capcom are at risk of alienating this loyal fanbase with their new westernised gameplay as they try to make DmC appeal to the large, generally uncaring casual audience, so it'll be very interesting to see the gamers' response to the game when it is finally released in January 2013. As always, make sure you subscribe to Eurogamer by clicking the annotation that's just appeared on screen, because we'll be featuring coverage of all of 2013's biggest releases on the channel very soon. See ya!
Hey Bob, put a spin on this.